When I was working for the Bernie Sanders campaign, and it first began gathering steam in 2015, we had all those exciting events where tens of thousands of people came out to hear Bernie speak. It was unbelievably exciting for us. I know it was exciting for a lot of other people as well. And I remember in particular going to an event in Phoenix. It was Phoenix, Arizona. 11,000 people showed up there to hear Bernie speak. It was very exciting. He spoke at the auditorium downtown. As we were walking from the hotel to the venue, you could see Bernie's image lit up 30 feet high outside the arena or whatever it was. There were people on the street hawking Bernie goods. It was kind of like Lollapalooza of Berniedom. It was just, it was incredibly exciting for us. And I got in a conversation with some local teenagers who were standing outside asking what it was about. And then they were asking what did Bernie believe in and those types of things. And I said, among other things, a minimum wage for workers. And they were bright kids. I mean, they were just hanging out on the street, but they were, reasonably bright kids. And they said, when I talked to them about a minimum wage, they said, even for restaurant workers, waiters, and people like that. And I said, yeah. And they said, as a lot of people have said, well, I don't think the restaurant industry can survive if it has to pay a $15 minimum wage. We've always had these exceptions for restaurant workers who get tips, let them, get much less than the minimum wage and see if they get by, all that sort of thing. Shouldn't there be an exception for restaurant workers? That conversation came to mind because of a recent study published because it was by the New School and the National Employment Law Project, which does great work. And it was a study of New York City's new minimum wage law, which raised it for restaurant workers to $15 an hour. We were told that was going to be the apocalypse, right? That was going to be a disaster. Well, that hasn't happened, as Business Insider and a couple of other people have reported. As Business Insider and the study both point out, that hike to $15 an hour was the largest hike for low-wage workers since the 1960s. It went from $7.25 to $15 an hour as a New York minimum wage in the restaurant industry. What happened to the restaurant industry after the minimum wage for its workers more than doubled? Well, the New York City restaurant industry outperformed the rest of the United States in both job growth and expansion. What does that mean, job growth and expansion? It means that employers were able to hire. Remember, we're always told hiking the minimum wage will lead to lost jobs. Nope. Biggest job growth of any restaurant industry in the country in New York City with its $15 minimum wage. Expansion, meaning new jobs, meaning more restaurants, meaning business is going great for business homeowners. So there you have it. You have a pay increase on average of 20% because, of course, not everybody was making the minimum wage. Business is doing great. Workers are making more money, all of which goes to show that measures that help workers don't have to damage the economy, and that, in fact, we've been sold a bill of goods about that. Now, that is also connected to a new initiative from Bernie Sanders, and other presidential campaigns are also talking about it, which is something called Unions for All. Now, we'll cover Unions for All more in future episodes of the show, but it has multiple elements to it. One of the elements of Unions for All is measures to double union membership, which I would call a good start. As Bernie says, if there's going to be class warfare in this country, it's time the working class won that war and not the corporate elite. Got to agree with that. There is also something called sectoral bargaining. Now, sectoral bargaining is really an important measure. It means that all the workers in one kind of industry, whether it's manufacturing or whatever it might be, air traffic control, bargain together for all employers instead of forcing workers to go employer by employer by employer. That's going to be an important step forward. Other countries have that. We should have it. Two, the Bernie proposal also includes works councils, which are committees elected by workers that represent them to the employer, something called co-determination, where workers have a seat on companies' corporate boards, and union-administered unemployment insurance, which will be another benefit of joining a union. So we'll be talking a lot in the weeks and months to come about the movement to restore America's unions.